Hello everyone! Welcome back to the channel. This is Jersey, and today we are gonna be doing a big build. This one is gonna be one of the most elaborate for me. It took me a lot longer to think about it. I was being more picky. I was trying to create a little more like a water landscape design as well. We're finally gonna be connecting the bridge, that long bridge that we will be working on, to the second tier. That's gonna lead to a whole different level to this coastal town. At the same time, we're gonna be building a dock that's gonna connect to that area, and with the stairs that's gonna lead up to the second tier. And in that second tier, we are gonna have our first NPC or building or house moving into the coastal town. And the person is Franklyn. Franklyn is moving to the coastal town. And the idea behind it is because Franklyn's house already looks like it belongs in the coastal town. I like how it's elevated already. So it gives you that beachy vibe, and it just matches the coastal town. And you guys have been commented on so many ideas, and my brain is overflowing with ideas right now. And one of them, it was motorbike rentals, or and we already made like the boat rental, right? And we're gonna have jet skis and boats, but then we can do motorbikes, and we can do anything that Franklyn built. And I was thinking, okay, so what could fit well right now? Because I knew I was ready to move in the first building, the first house, the first NPC, the first villager into this build. And I was like, Franklyn would be great. And then the idea behind it is, this is gonna be Franklyn's dock area, rental place, and we're gonna build something very special for him. And it's gonna be a little more elaborate. It's gonna be very different than any other build that I've ever done, because I have not tried something like this just yet. And I'm excited. And it did took a lot of thinking, right? It did take me time. You're gonna see in this video that my character will pause many times, because I was trying to think how to approach a couple ideas that I had. At the same time, you know me, I have a lot of reference pictures and from real world places that I'm looking at, and I'm combining 2 or 3 ideas to make it happen. So one of them right now is right here. So this is gonna be a lookout point. And you guys know me, in my islands, I like visual areas also that serve a purpose, but at the same time that is going to be visually pleasing when you stand to look at different angles of the island, right? So this is one of them. So this one is going to look down into the dock, into the second tier, into the house on the top, and it's going to look down into the water where we have our dock area, and our dock that's connecting from the road, connecting to that other section. And I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but I just want you to imagine or try to understand what I'm trying to do. So right now, the approach that I'm doing is I gotta build it slowly, working from front, work my way to the back, and readjusting as I'm working, because a lot of this, I do have it on my notebook. I drew it out. I have the idea, but I didn't know exactly how big I wanted the dock, in the sense, because I want to be able to walk on the dock, but at the same time I want to put items on the dock, right? So it looks busy, so it looks like it's being used. So when I had to think about it like that, I wasn't sure, because of the item placement, how much it was gonna feel in different areas. All right, and another point of this video, I was debating a lot. And to see if I wanted, you see what I'm doing right now, it's just, we had to level all this out. So I was debating many times if I should take all of this out and just show I started taking, and then boom, it's done, so we can make the videos a little shorter. So what I did, I sped it up a lot more faster than normal, to the point that it doesn't get you too dizzy or too sick, but that way this part is quicker than my normal speed up video. So you guys can look at the details and we can talk about what I'm building. But this part I speed it up longer, right? So it be not longer, so it can be quicker. But please let me know because if this is too boring, I know a lot of you want to see how everything was built, right? And that's what I'm trying to do. I do try to build everything and record it so you guys can see all the steps. But if things like this, if it's better to take it out, give me the feedback. And you guys are great giving feedback, so I do appreciate it. The other thing that I did is I made my cuts a little more tighter, so we don't do that extra walk all the way to where I got my materials or the building tables or the charging area. So I'm trying to do my editing a little more tighter, so it's a little more smoother, so we can just really concentrate on the work and not on the extra walking and extra excessive videos that we don't need, especially when videos are this long, right? So I know you guys are great. I know I will get all the feedback that I need, so I'm gonna be looking forward to that. Okay, so the way I'm approaching this build, right? I'm working from front to back. I kind of had an idea how far am I gonna go back, but I didn't want to just start placing things on the back, start placing the path or the stairs. So the best way I could approach this, especially because I'm gonna be bringing water to all this area right here, and that's part of flattening this section. So I had to work one square at a time and not to get too far ahead. That way I didn't have to redo too many areas that we're gonna see. We had to tweak different things. We had to tweak the dock, we had to tweak maybe part of the stair, maybe part of the incline, just to make everything fit correctly. So if I would have gone way ahead and just close off an area and made the stairs thinking they were gonna land right here, I would have to do so much more work to try to fix it, or compromise way too much to make things happen, right? Okay, so that's the initial part of this process, especially this one, because I found it a little tricky because I knew what I wanted, but I never approached it that way. So I had to really think, and I really wanted to do a little variation, sometimes on fences, sometimes on the flower, sometimes on the different palm trees. So it was just a lot of trial and error. At the same time, I did a lot of tests off camera on my Steam Deck during my lunch, during my breaks. You know, I did some test runs. That way I knew how I was gonna approach this video for you guys. Okay, so that's part of the idea, right? All right, so part of my thinking is what you guys see a little bit more ahead, all that is gonna be water, right? But I did want to make the water feel like it's coming in towards the sidewalk, but we're gonna have a little like edge with sand, and we're gonna plant our flowers, we're gonna put our bushes, and that one was a little tricky. I didn't want it just to be like just cut, like just flat. So I wanted to have a little bit of a movement, but then I wanted like tiny little islands on the top that at the same time will have either the ferns, it will have flowers, maybe we'll have a palm tree. And I saw that in this picture where they're going down this big river, or there's these like dock areas, and there's like this patches of land, right? And the land have grass, and it looks like the water level just went down just a little bit, that you can see this, but at the same time it's very deep, and people are fishing, or people are or there's dogs and people are bringing in what they caught, or they're using the boat dock to go into the river. So I had like these three pictures that I'm looking at, and I'm trying to combine all three ideas into one big area for Franklyn, because I want this area to be special, like we seen in my previous town, in the center of my map. That one has a whole different feeling, but the museum has its own area and its own build around it. The barn, it has a whole build and a whole field. The greenhouse, it has a whole field and a whole build just for it. So that theme is still going to continue in the coastal town, and the first person that is getting that privilege is Franklyn. And I know a lot of people, you know, Franklyn is not the most popular NPC out there, but he had the right house that fit the right theme, the right idea, and he makes our motorbikes, and we need him so we can have motorbikes on the island, so we can start getting them to rent. All right, so So as you've been looking, I was trying to design little patterns, because the idea that the way I'm approaching it is design the patterns, and then once I have it and I design the patterns and I have the vision and I want to see how everything's feeling, then we're gonna dig all that out and we're gonna go 3 deep, so we can have the spawns of fish and anything like that that can spawn in that volume of water, and then it's deep enough, and then we're gonna dig that out, and then by the end of the video we're gonna break the size, all that water is gonna come in and it's gonna look really good, and then it's gonna give it that feel, because like I spoke in my previous video, or maybe 2 videos ago, I've been looking at a lot of pictures, I've been looking at a lot of ideas, and a lot of them has evolved to more of a true coastal town where there's a lot of water volume, a lot of sand, and maybe it's like a fishing, villaging, anything like that, but still having a town vibe and ways to get there, but with a little more water this time around. And that way we can make a very big difference between my previous town and this town, and they will look totally different. And right now the vibe is very different. I just, I needed to go to Fletch, so I had to go to my town hall and I needed to talk to her, and I did it like 3 times because I needed to readjust the house a couple times because it wasn't falling the way I envisioned and the path wasn't working, so I had to work on that. But we get there when we get there on the video. But the vibe of my previous town, it was so different, to the point that I was like, wow, I missed this town, because it felt so different. And looking at the previous things that I built, I was like, wow, I kind of miss all this, because now I've been working strictly on the coastal, and the vibe that I've been going with had made that other town feel so different right now. And then I was very happy, because that's been the goal of this build, of this video, of this idea of building a coastal town, is that it feels totally different to anything else that I built before. So that was great. So okay, so as you continue seeing, I'm doing, it's very straightforward. Is just imagine, you guys can copy exactly what I'm doing right here to make it happen, but you guys can make those little islands a little bigger. And the thing that I don't want it to be a complete square, and you can make it bigger, you can make it a square if you want, you can make it in different ways, because the idea is once you have that little patch of sand, plant what you want. You can leave it just completely sand if you want, or you can make it brown and then plant maybe the yellow grass and then let it grow wild, so it's like wild grass growing, or you can do the tropical grass too. But I think the yellow will look better, because it will look like it's a little drier or something like that, and you guys can make it like that. I didn't use any grass. I basically used the fern, the bush, and some palm trees to make that illusion happen. So once I had those patches, and once we had what I thought, because I still want to leave a lot of room for water, right? I don't want to just to overtake it and just be, oh, and there's not that much water. I want more water than land or little islands, but I wanted to feel like we had some water. I'm gonna call it water landscaping, because that's the best word that I can think of at this very moment. It's kind of like you making a landscaping but for the water, and to be visually pleasing, And then the part of it with the bridges, the overpass that we started building, and now they're extending, and we're finally going to be closing that bridge and reaching that second tier that we've been aiming for. It feels even more impressive in my opinion as we're digging down. And just when I finally finished digging down and you look at it, I was like, oh man, this is good. This is very different. This is kind of what I was more and more envisioning as I was working on it. The idea, what I put down on paper, and the approach. And I was like, okay, I think I'm making it the smart way. Not just to bring the water in right away, and then not being in a hurry to fill it up with water. That way, if I need to do changes, I was able to make the changes and not have to suffer with the water. Another trick is that, let's say you truly need to see the water, right? So I did tests, I never saved the game. I just log in, brought the water in, let it fill up, let me see how it looks at it, Don't do anything else. Don't do anything that you're gonna regret, and then just back out, go back to the main menu. Nothing is saved. You got to see what you needed to see, just in case you needed to do changes, and then you kind of see what you have, and then you don't have to worry about it, right? And I left it for the very last to fill this with water, because you don't know what kind of ideas your mind is gonna bring up. You know, this build took me it was couple in multiple days. Usually when I record my gameplay, I can do it in one big session, maybe 2-day session, and then I work on editing, work on voice, and then we upload it. You know, the whole process. But this one was a little bit different. I've been having a very busy week. It's been one of those weeks that I gotta record when I have the time. Sometimes it was 20 minutes, sometimes it was 30 minutes, sometimes I might be able to record only 10 minutes. So anytime that I had an opportunity to record, I was recording. And the ideas were evolving as every day went by, because I'm still doing research. I'm still looking at picture, because we're still not even, maybe we're 30%, 35% of the town. You know, we only got one building that we're bringing in. The idea is to bring up to 3 buildings and make special areas for each one of them at the moment. And right now we're bringing the first one, and we know we're gonna extend. I mean, we got the bridges extending to that other block of islands over there. We got the other side of the island, and we finally make it to the very back. So yeah, I want to say we're about 35% of this island being done in a way, and I don't know how my ideas are gonna keep evolving, because coastal towns are awesome. I mean, I've been finding so many great ideas and inspiration that wants to come into this build, and at the same time, it's like the ideas are there. I write them down, I do a little sketch, I save the pictures that I'm finding, because when I never get to the next point, those ideas are still there. And it's hard, because you're inspired to work on something else, but you're still working on this. And I'm like, I can't move on. I'm still working on this. This is my inspiration, but I kind of want to do the other thing. And you never know. So, and that's why, you know, we what I recommend and my tips are, you know, don't ever be in a hurry, because your ideas will always evolve. But don't let those ideas also control you, because then you will never get done. And that's what happens to me. Sometimes I wanna hurry up on a build, because my idea to do something else it's like I wanna hurry to do that idea, but I need to calm myself down. So the best advice I can give you: write them down, write down your inspiration, record it, just anything, just draw it out in a sketch, just what you thought. Because sometimes it's not just looking at real pictures. It could be that you were watching a stream, you were watching a video, you were watching somebody else building something. You're like, oh, I want to do that in my island. Just write it down, and that way you have it, you don't forget it. So whenever you're like, oh, what was that idea, you have it. But don't let those other inspiration like control you. But at the same time, I know it's good motivation you can speed up other builds. So I don't know, it's like a give and take. And for me, it's like, I got so many ideas, but I know I need to do this other ideas that are also evolving as we go. And we have to, like, it's hard. Yeah, I have to, like, okay, which one do I want to work on? How do I want to approach this? Write them down, and all that stuff that I just said, you know. But okay, so we're continuing building, right? Now I'm doing the same thing that I just did in the previous 2 areas, and I'm laying down the sand. I'm laying down how far. Okay, I'm like, okay, I know I want a fence. So then let me go one more now, and I want to do the bushes. I want to put the palm trees. I want to do what I need. And then I was like, you know, this little wood fence that I use on the front, because I kind of want a little separation just to see how it looks. What if I put it like behind it, and I want to see? Then what I decided, because some of the pictures that I see these wood fences or logs that are kind of like a little lower in the water, and I wanted to see how that feels. That way we have a little high variation, right? So some of them gonna be with water, some of them gonna be on the top on the sand, and just create that flow. And that way it's not everything just the same, There's some movement, there's some high variation, and it just gives you that level, that feeling that when you're looking at it, you got more to look at. But that's if you focus. If you look at it, it's gonna be like, oh, this is so cool. And then when you focus, you're like, oh, look at this detail. This one's lower, this one's higher. And that's the idea. And then again, before I lower all of this and make it 3D, I'm trying to figure out where's gonna be the where do I want to make these little islands again. And they're gonna be very similar to the ones that we made. So we're gonna have one that's like a little small, we're gonna have one that's a little big, and then some of them will have flowers, some of them will only have a palm tree or this. And then the other, I was thinking, so what if some of the empty square I also put like just the little wood just sticking up, like it's just like maybe a tree die or something like that, like it's just dried out, and then with the water I feel like it's gonna look really nice. So I put that there. Then eventually I do that on the other side, on those empty spaces that I had just sand. I do add them to it because I think it looks really good, and it gives you that feeling of it. So right here I was expanding that little island. I felt like I was a little small, but at the same time I gotta be careful because I gotta imagine like boats are gonna go through here at the same time, and so the islands are kind of dividing the section, so it's like one way in and then one way out. But I did want to make it a little bit bigger and a little bit more like extending, like it's just branching out instead of just being a square. So I'm trying to find the right places and just be creative, you know. It doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be like a specific way. You don't have to make it the way that I did it, but just do whatever you feel like, that you feel comfortable, whatever it leads you. There's not a science to make this little floating tiny islands in your rivers or anything like that. It's just whatever you feel, just make it, whatever looks good to you, and go for it, and just be creative with it and just run with it. And now we're just lowering all this, and like I said before, I'm not bringing in the water. I did some tests run off camera, just letting the water, because I wanted to see if I like it the way it looked, if I needed to do anything else. Then I just went ahead, restarted the day. That way there's no water, because you never know if you need to make any changes as you are still building on this build, and you don't know what's gonna happen. I know I want to make something else on the backside, and I don't know what I'm going to be bringing in, and maybe make like another little shoreline and then a wall that goes up again. So I do have ideas for this section behind it. I know what I want after we end the video and where we're gonna branch out and go for it, and we're gonna talk about that once we get there. All right, so I finished that. I'm looking at it and we're walking, we're seeing, we're getting the feel of it. I think right now even empty looks really cool, the idea behind it. And you know, when you get to that point that you're trying something new and you're looking at it and you don't know if it's gonna work out. And I'm always scared of that, you know, because you spend so much time on something, and I know me, and I know I'm gonna rework it, you know, because I'm picky that way, you know. I want to make my vision possible as much as I can. But when you get to that point, when you look at it, you're like, oh, that looks so good. So right there, when you saw me, I went to that bridge and I was looking at the dock. I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna make a dock area, like a boat dock, I want to keep it in theme. And instead of making all this palm wood right here, we're gonna go with the dark wood. We're gonna go with the dark wood, and we're gonna also do the fence, but we're gonna keep the fence palm wood, because I don't like the dark wood fence right now for the coastal town. It's not vibing for me. But we are definitely gonna change the steps. You're gonna see that we're gonna change a couple times, and that we're gonna end up with the dark wood steps for sure. But the fence, keeping it palm wood, I feel like is a better match. It keeps with theme. I like that it breaks a little bit of the dark wood, but I do feel like it's the best combination. Don't forget, you guys pick what you guys want. Gumwood, palm wood, pick whatever fence you want. Just make it the style that's gonna fit your build. You know, whatever is fitting your area at that moment. But for me, right at this very moment, I was just like, I need to break a little of the palm wood. I know you guys love the palm wood. You guys gave me all that feedback because I was doubting myself. But I do feel like I'm in a point that I need to start breaking just a little bit. Just create a different tone on the island. But still keep that coastal, beachy vibe, because the palm wood really brings that in. And all the water's bringing that in. But I want to make sure that is, when I'm looking at it, is pleasing to the eye as well. And I'm getting to some points that when I'm looking at it, all the palm wood, I'm not too happy. It's not bringing joy to my life. And that's how I kind of, a lot of times I base my builds, is how happy they make me when I look at it. And that's how I know, for me, for my taste. And I was getting to that point that I was like, man, I just need to break it up. I feel it deep down in me, that there's something not working right here. So like right now, I'm using like the cement steps for this particular build right here. But I'm still, I like the hardwood, and I like this hardwood right here. But I know when I go to the bridge, and it's the elevated one, I do have that same design aspect, but it's cement. And I've been going back and forth, and I may do it off camera. I want to test it. I want to see how it looks with cement, because I may feel like I may want to still go cement or keep it dark wood. Right now, at the end of the build, it's all dark wood. It's just that particular structure, that overlook area. But I may feel like I want to test it out to see how it looks with cement, to see if it's a little better. So we have like the palm wood, cement, a lookout area, but when you look down and you see the dock, and that's dark wood with the dock that's leading in from the road into that area. And so in my imagination right now, the way, if I close my eyes, that I'm closing them right now, and I'm picturing that, I think that could look really good. So I may try that, and then if we change it, you guys will see in the next video that changed completely from dark wood to cement. But like always, at the end, it's gonna be your choice. Don't forget that it's your island, it's your choice. Just because I feel like one thing doesn't match and the other match, for you guys it match, and no one is ever wrong. No one is completely right, because it's all about taste. So don't forget that. All right. So now I only took a little bit, right? So this is the main section that I want the dock. This is where the dock's gonna be. It ties into the river and it's coming in. And we're gonna make a dock area here. We're gonna have a little bit of sand, and then there's gonna be some steps going up into that second tier. So it's, in a visual perspective, we're gonna have a little bit more volume, or more to look at, right? You arrive to the place, you can go up. Eventually we're gonna see Franklyn's house right up there, and that view is actually very, very cool, because it's all leading to that, right? Where all of this is leading to go to Franklyn, to the house on the top, and on the side it's gonna be his motorbike rental, things that he builds. And we can either make something else, stuff that he builds, and make a little like plot or something like that for it. But at the same time, then right behind it, we're gonna lead to another road, because that road will tie in to the bridge, to the overpass, to that second tier, and everything just connects, right? So it does, like I mentioned in previous video, I'm working really hard to make this town have a flow, like if it was a real town, with different street, back street, different way to go into one area to get to the other area, and have like a little more roads happening and bridgings connecting to different areas. And that has made my designing a little more, let's say, complicated, but at the same time challenging and fun. And that's the best way I can describe it. It's fun. And it's very fun. Even though I get frustrated sometimes, and I'm working very hard not to let that, the frustration that things are not working out the way you want it to work out, not to really overtake, because it is fun to challenge yourself. And that's what I'm doing. I'm challenging myself with every build to make something more unique or more different, or to try to recreate something that at least hasn't been done in such a way, because many things have been done in Dinkum with different creators, awesome creators, but how can my build be a little more unique, a little more different. That way you guys feel like you guys getting something from this when you guys are watching it. And that's always the goal, right? Is what trying to give you something that you guys can use on this build, that you guys can use in your island. Even though if it's something is being done before, what's my take that can make it a little bit different for some of you guys to actually try it and use it and be inspired with it. And that's always the goal, right? And that's why I may say you can get frustrated, and we do try not to get to it, but at the same time it's fun. It truly is fun to get to that point. Just don't let it overtake you. Take a break, walk away, and come back the next day, and then regroup and redo it. Don't give up on your ideas that you have, and don't give up on the concept that you have. And I've heard so many, some of you guys have wrote me what you guys are planning. You guys are leaving it in the comments, and you guys can go to all those videos and read the comments. And some of you guys are very, very creative. Like one of them, I believe his name is Frank. He left a comment, and he's gonna try to make a 1920s island, like theme island, using copper, using brick. And I think that idea is fantastic. Like seriously, is such a unique idea right now, and nobody has done it. And I think that's gonna be really cool. Like it just really opens your mind and possibility of what you can create in Dinkum beyond what we think, you know. Because after the coastal town, my idea is we're gonna then do more like a mountain. I'm gonna go down to the forest part of the island, right? And we're gonna build another town down there, and it's gonna be maybe cottage style, or mountain, or very hillsides, or you know. And that's gonna be a whole different research that I have to do. Right now it's coastal town time, you know. But I'm excited to one day branch out and create another town, and what kind of vibe. By then we'll have more updates and more items and more flowers and whatever else we get in Dinkum that we can create something. But we're gonna get there. But you guys are amazing. I won't deny that. You guys are writing and telling me what you guys are trying to accomplish, and I love that, because we are all on this, motivating each other, inspiring each other, and trying to build something very special. Okay, so now, before I kind of did my boat dock layout, right? I kind of have the idea where I want it. So I was like, okay, before I go any farther, I need to figure out how my transition is gonna go. From here, you walk the dock, you get to the sand, and then how far do I want the stairs to start so we can go to the second? Because I have this dock right here, this tiny. This is tiny in a way, but it's right here. But then you see the river right on my left. So there's the river, and then on the other side of the river, in the same area, we're gonna have a dock. So it's like when you're looking at the river, you got two entry points, and it's gonna be two docks. This side is like one half, is the right half, and then we're gonna have the left side. It's gonna be the left side of the dock, and it's gonna be not connecting because there's a river, but the idea is the same. And then we're gonna have that opening over there, and there's gonna be like another boat dock in there. And I have a layout. It's gonna be a little more different than this one, but it's gonna be very cool, and I'm excited to work on that dock on the left side after you pass the river. So the approach is, I know what I'm gonna do on that side. Okay, and I know we're getting closer to where I want to put Franklyn. Franklyn's gonna go on the top, right there. We're getting closer every time. So now it's like, okay, so I think I got my stairs. I think I feel like I didn't want the stairs to be too far. Like I wanted to go down. I want to have a little space, but then because I want the dock to feel like it's surrounded by water, so I didn't want to have this much land, but I needed enough land that we can make a little bit of an entryway to the dock, so we can get on the side and have a little bit of sand and then water. And that's why, like in the beginning of the video, we talk about on this one, I knew I needed to take it a little bit slower and approach it from front to back. Don't do too much on the back, because we may have to redo too much then to the front if nothing is fitting. Even though I did a layout, even though I have how many squares, what I envisioned, I knew this one I needed to be careful, and that's why I'm approaching it in this specific way. work from work from the front towards the back. Don't go way too far in, just in case you need to change, and just kind of group it and just work section by section. And that's what I'm doing. And since I'm doing now this dock here, that's what I'm trying to realize. And then now I can make some changes. I'm like, okay, I don't have enough opening on right here. I want more water. I want this to feel like it's surrounded by water. I don't want it just to be a little bit of water. I want it to be a lot of water. And that's why now we're gonna be readjusting the dock just to make sure I have that feel, that especially of the picture that I'm looking at. I'm like, okay, I see the dock, I see the water, and there's more water than dock. And I know I'm not making this here, but when it's connected to the river and that water comes in, then it feels like you got all this water, because you got the water from the side then coming in and all of that. And then we're gonna readjust this a little bit. Those stairs gonna move more back. All the flower and the palm tree that I planted right next to the stairs, it's gonna be pushed 1 square back, because then I realized I needed a little more space, so we adjust that. And that's why in this particular build I was very picky, in the sense like I don't want to work too far. I want to make sure, and I did a little more decoration than normally I do the layout, make sure I got the layout right, and then I'll come back and do the decoration that I wanted. But in this dock, I needed to make sure that I have enough space for the decoration that I wanted, and the item placement, and the item placement on the wall on the back, and that I needed to do it as I was building. And we're gonna get to that. And then I had to readjust again, and I'm glad that I did that, because normally my approach is make the layout, have it done, and then come back later and work on the item placement, the decorating, and all of that. But on this one, I had a feeling that I needed to do it in a whole different way, because everything is so tight and everything is kind of very specific to this build for the idea to work that I have of the pictures that I'm looking at, and the transition, so it can flow, like everything is flowing and there's a purpose in every way. So now I'm trying to decide here how deep I want it to go, because I'm making this little elevation wall. The idea is like, it's kind of like storage area, and you can put a boat very high, like it's just extra boats that somebody placed over there and you gotta get down. We're gonna put one in the floor, and I just had to play with it, you know, and I wasn't sure. So at first I was like, okay, so let me take all of it out and then work my way up. I was trying to save it, but I was like, okay, no, let me work my way, just take it all out, and then we're gonna work our way there. And then I needed to finish this right here, because water's gonna come in, so I needed to clear all of this out too, so once the water comes in, it's on the bridge, we got the space and all of that, and slowly and more this area is coming together. All right, so now I think I'm gonna start working on what I was trying to envision, because now we need to connect the bridge. You know, the bridge is coming. This is the end part of the bridge. This is the last bridge that we're gonna place, and then the road and the sidewalks are gonna start, and it's gonna come this way, and it's gonna lead to another road. Part of that road is gonna be behind the building of Franklyn. And I have this idea that I don't wanna reveal just yet, but the way I want the road to curve and do something, I'd be looking at different idea of city, the way. I don't want to give it away. I'm afraid I'm gonna give it away just in case I can't make it happen, but I'm excited to work on that. And I got, and that's what we were talking earlier, right? I have couple ideas that I kind of want to work and test, but I gotta be careful, because I gotta finish this build, and I can't focus too much on the other one, because then you could lose inspiration on what you're working on, or rush it, and I don't want to rush it. But even talking about it, even thinking about it, I am excited to get to that point now. You know, it's cool when you get to a point of the build and you're excited to what's coming next, because it's leading to something else, and you're like, I'm ready for that. I'm ready for that to lead to this, and it's very exciting, and that's where I'm at. You know, when I'm recording the videos, it's exciting, and then when I'm looking over it and speaking to you guys and going over the changes, the ideas, what was going through the process, what I made, the decisions that I made, it makes me think of the next, of what's coming, because I'm ready to start doing that. I'm not there yet because I gotta now do the editing. Let's do the voice work. Let's do the everything that we need. Let's upload it, have it ready so you guys can watch it. So then I can have feedback from you guys, and then we can move on towards the next part of the build. But it's always exciting, and I'm pretty sure you guys all feel the same way. You know, when you get to that point on your islands, you guys made it happen, and what's coming on next, or deciding on what's coming on next, is always a very exciting feeling, right? Okay, so now I decided that the dock was a little too small. I wanted to go a little bit wider. I feel like in the items that I want to place, it feels a little too small. So we're gonna make it wider right here. We're gonna fill the deck, and I'm trying to get a feel to it. So now I'm gonna move a couple things, a couple of the lights, and now we're gonna rework very soon that whole area over there. Now that I made it wider, I can have more water coming over here on this side, and now we're making this other section over here a little bit shorter because I feel like it's a little tight between the two stairs. I do want to feel like we have a little bit of a gap between the two, but not too big. So one square, moving one square one side, one square to the other side. It made it for me that I was able to work a little bit more and plan for what I'm gonna try to do when I start putting the item placement or the decorations on it. And then instead of putting the lights all the way back to the wall, I decided to keep them one forward so I can put items behind it. So we have, because since you can't put anything under the lights, I didn't just want like the lights to be just against the wall and that's it and nothing. So we're gonna create the illusion the best way that we can to have items in the back, some items in the front, and a little bit of the side, kind of like blocking in such a way that it looks like items could be placed underneath it, but they're not. But it just worked around the area. And as you saw, we moved the palm trees, we moved the flowers, we moved everything one back, just very close to the back. So now I can kind of readjust this area, and then we can put all the decorating items that I want also to put just on the ground floor, maybe the light posts and all that stuff. And once we get there, we're gonna see what we ended up putting. And then the other thing is, the stair was bothering me. It wasn't falling towards the dock area. You know, when you go from right here, when you're going from the row and coming in, it wasn't working. And I was trying to move it one to the side, but then I noticed it creates the same problem. You take one side and it wasn't falling. So I was like, the only way that I can make this happen is I have to go 3 wide. And by going 3 wide, then I couldn't do also the light arch, because my idea was to put the light arch ahead of time. And that's something that I'm learning. I'm going to try my best to remember to test the light arch, you know, that festive light arch thing first, because you know, you're building something and you're like, okay, now I'm gonna put the arch, and it's always off by 1 square. Not all the time. I've been lucky sometimes and I was able to place it the way I wanted, but I need to remember to always test that first and then place it where I envision it, and then work my build around that. Because so many times I've been wanting to use it to give a little more to my build, but then nothing is not aligning and it's not center, and it's either redo a lot more that I truly want. And you guys know I will redo a lot of my builds. I don't mind that, but sometimes just for the arch, I had to move so much that it's truly not worth it. So then I do try to be more creative, come up with something. But going forward, and for you guys, tip number 1 right now is, if you guys are planning and it's part of your build, the light arch, the light festive light, whichever way it's called, remember to place it first, see where it's gonna line up, make your marks, that way we can work around it. And that's something that I'm gonna try to improve a lot, because I love those lights. It's just they're always not falling in the place that I want it, and then and that's a little frustrating, you know. And you're like, man, I wish I can just pull it half a square or something, and then hey, it's falling into place. But it's something to keep in mind. It's something that I'm gonna keep in mind going forward, that I know I need to improve and remember, because I know most of the time you kind of know where you want it, and if you truly don't know that you're gonna use it, then there's nothing we can do. It will fall or it will not fall, but sometimes we know we're gonna use them, and I'm gonna try going forward to be a little better, so I can kind of readjust a little better the builds without having to redo too much or not use them at all. All right, so now we're getting there. We're getting closer to Franklyn. We're getting closer to put the house on top of this build, to his area, because this area, you know, is part of Franklyn's build for his house, for his area. His house is awesome, looks very beachy, it's elevated, so I wanted to get even higher. I wanted to put it in the top. I wanted to be able to see it as from far as away as possible, in different bridges, in different angles, and I wanted to be able to see it. So right here, I went with the flower boxes, right? And we're gonna put fern. We're gonna see the fern kind of hanging, just give it a little greenery. I went with cement. Cement meaning we're holding this wall. We're holding this second tier, we're holding it up, and then we make kind of a little shelving and another shelving, and the shelving is for the extra, and this could be mix and match. Use it whichever way you want, put other items and all that. Right now this is what I had, and I may tweak that a little bit. I put one boat very high, like this is an extra boat that we have here, and like always I'm running out of boats. I gotta make more boats because I need to put one in the dock. I want one right on the dock, and then I may put one on the water, and you guys will see that in the next video. I just need to make more boats, and that's gonna be part of it. But as we're working on that, right here, I kind of changed that little fence. I went with the palm wood gate because I don't know, I want a little more height to it, and I just did that minor change. It was very quickly, but I feel like it just makes it move better. So now I'm placing a little lighting, and we know previous video I talked about it. I wanted to use these lamps. I love the way they look here in the coastal town. I like that copper vibe. I like the dome vibe. It gives it a whole different feel. So I was like, I'm gonna make them work on this build. We're gonna make it work. And I was planning a lot better. A little more separation, a little more areas, and filling it up slowly before I start even decorating. And that's why in this particular build, I was decorating as I go. And this is new for me. I never decorate as I build. But for this one, I had a feeling that I needed to start doing that, and I'm glad that I did, because it's working out. It's really great. Right here, you're gonna see, because I was able to kind of decorate a little bit as I went, and like I mentioned, I'm working very slowly this time. I'm working from front to back, not doing too much way in the back, to make sure if I needed to change something in the front, I have the room then to expand to the back. And here, putting Franklyn's house, I'm so glad that I did it that way, because I had to move the house 3 times, I believe, because I noticed that my walkway in the very front was nothing, or there was no walkway. Then I need to move the light, but if I move the light, then they blocked the walkways. So I had to, like, you know, put it in, take it out, redo it, then put it in again. And it was one of those things that I'm glad that I was working the way I'm working on this particular build, because I needed to push this build in a whole different way, you know, and it worked out great. So and that's what I'm trying to do right now. And then I had this idea, but then I wasn't patient enough. Right here, I wanted one of those trees just to grow naturally by itself, but then I changed my mind, and I went ahead and put like a banana tree. That way it just grows right next to the house. I was trying to do like a little ahead of thinking, like, okay, if I put the house here, this is gonna fall here, and we're gonna have a little tree growing on the side. But I wasn't patient enough, so I went ahead and changed that. We're gonna see that a little bit later. We're gonna, instead of leaving that, we're gonna plant a banana tree right there. And right here, I was trying to envision Franklyn's home, his building, how I'm gonna put this. And I knew I wanted to be a little bit higher, right? Just a little bit more higher, even though it's already elevated because it's standing like on top. I wanted to be even higher, because that way when we look down. So I went 1 tier higher just to give it a little more elevation. And then that felt like I have a stair, and then his stairs. So I was trying to envision that, like, oh, you're just going up the stairs, and I thought that would have been kind of cool. So I placed it right there, and then I placed it with the palm wood, right? Like it's sitting on top of a deck and all that. I saw a couple pictures like on beach houses and how they're on top of the air, and then they got this on the bottom. Some of them have wood, some of them got just cement, some of them just got plain dirt. And once this house happened and it was out there, I'll tell you right now, I did not like how the house is sitting on top of the palm wood looked at all. That was a big no-no. And then I noticed that I had the space, so I changed it. Then I was doubting if I wanted a cement platform or keep it dirt. And at the end, I went with dirt, and I think I like it. I'm not 100%. I can tell you it's gonna stay like that. But I think I like it with the dirt. I think it feels really good. I was almost gonna put a cement platform because it's very popular on beach houses sometimes too, especially inside, like in the shore, like very in. That way people can park their cars like underneath the houses. And of course, Franklyn doesn't have that enough space for that. But I was thinking, I can make that. But I went with the route of just keeping it brown. I almost put sand just to give it that vibe, but I went with just the dirt. And for me, don't forget, I didn't like how it looked with the deck. With the palm wood underneath it, and I just could not get by it. I kind of like the idea and how it's placed. I love that. I like the elevation. When I was walking in and saw it from far away, I was like, that looks nice. That looks really good. I am enjoying it. I like the stair idea, to stair, and then his stairs to lead to his home. I like that touch a lot. I feel like it was really good, but did not like the palm wood underneath it. So, and then working right here, I noticed in the front, I didn't have enough spacing, especially once I put the stairs, and I knew I wanted to put a little more something behind these ferns, and I knew that needed to change, and I was like, I'm gonna have to scoot this back. So, but before I did that, I think right here, I was trying to see how this road, here's the bridge finally. This is the overpass. This is the long bridge that we have that's leading to this second tier of the island, where for a while we're gonna keep a second tier going on this island. It's gonna be like that way, we have some elevation on it. So I was working a little bit before I decided to move, but we did. I needed to move Franklyn anyway because I didn't like the palm wood, but I needed to make sure. And I knew I wanted these hedges right here to create a little more spacing, a little more greenery behind it, and like a little like fence, or whichever you want to call it, but just a little bit more to it. And then I was like, okay, so here's the bridge. I know sidewalks have to come in, and then I'm gonna have to have this road. And this section right here, it took me a moment. It wasn't completely drawn out, but I needed to figure it out so I can be pleased where I was gonna put Franklyn's home, because I know I'm gonna have a little space behind the house, and then there's gonna be a road. Then we're gonna have a road that's gonna lead, because I want the bridge to come in, curve around the house, and go kind of behind Franklyn's, and starts leading you to another area. And at least that's what I'm planning, right? And I needed to figure out, okay, how am I gonna curve this? How much of that distance? And at first I thought I had it down completely, but we actually ended up moving it then one back, and then the road moved again one more back, and we had to tweak it a couple more times to make this work out the way I wanted it to work out. But it was worth it at the end. I was getting close to be like, okay, I think I got it. I think I can finish the video right here. But I didn't feel like it was truly completed for you guys until I knew Franklyn's home was set. That way I can say, okay, this build is set. If you guys are following along, you guys have a complete layout to this certain point that you guys can follow, that you guys can watch, or copy some ideas of it. But at least the vision from beginning to end is completed. And the only way that vision can be completed is by placing Franklyn's home. And that's why I was struggling right here, because normally I do plan it a little bit ahead of time. I do have a layout. That way I'm not just second guessing myself for so long. But I knew I wasn't happy with Franklyn's home. I knew I wasn't happy with how much spacing I had in the front. So I needed to figure out how much space I wanted, where the sidewalk were gonna land, how much I was gonna move, where the road was gonna lead to, and how we were gonna kind of curve it in. And once I figured that out, that we do figure it out, then I was able to move Franklyn's home, move it again, take all this, and do the changes that I needed to do, retest it again, do a couple more things, and then bam, the video was completed. I felt good. I felt at peace with everything that we just did. That way you guys have something really good to watch and to follow and to understand and to get inspired, and we got there. But we're not there just yet. We still got like, I don't know, maybe 10 more minutes of this video. So we're gonna continue talking. We're gonna continue trying to figure things out and why, you know, I was struggling a little bit because I was like, okay, I kind of want the road to kind of turn. I didn't want it just to be like a 90 degree, just turn. Sometimes I do try to make it curve a little bit, you know, in a pixel way, in a square way, try to kind of curve it in. So I was trying to figure out the length of that. But then I did a mistake. You guys probably caught it already. But my row, I only made it 3 right here, and the bridge is 4 wide. And part of that was actually hindering me. And then once I noticed it, then that was starting to make a little bit more sense. I was like, oh, wait a minute. I was trying to do all this measurement with the row being 3 when it needs to be 4 because it needs to match the bridge, the double bridge that we were doing. Because I'm so used to in the previous town, all my roads were kind of 3, you know, 3 wide. Very rare 4. On the coastal town, since I want now the bridges to actually align with the road, I've been going 4 wide. And it's right there, it was just a little goof. I went with 3 and I was trying to figure things out, and I knew I needed to change it. Once I changed it, things started to play out a lot better. So now we did it. We went ahead, we took out the deck, we pushed only 1 square back because I just needed 1 square more in the front, and then that will make the spacing a little more, because on Franklyn's around the building I didn't need that much space because part of his build is the idea that he owns this docking area, like that's part of his land, this is part of his build, this is his domain, right? And he's overlooking all this. And then right here on the left side, we're gonna fill that up. I kind of did a little bit, but I was like, you know what, this video is already long enough. The inspiration came, but I was like, no, hold it, let's just stop it. Let's stop the video, because if not, it's gonna be even longer. And that's where I want the motorbike rental to be, and some of the items that he makes. So we're gonna put them there, like he has a little outside little store. So we're gonna work on that. I know I kind of want to do, but we're gonna work on that a little later. But there's gonna be some palm trees, a little lights, and all that stuff, and we'll see that, because I kind of started it, but I had to force myself to stop, and that way I can start with the next. That way I can have this video done, and then that way you guys have more to watch later on. Because right now it's a lot to take in. I feel like the video, I couldn't stop it in a specific time because it didn't feel complete. But then I got to the point that the video did feel complete, and then I could just, you know, stop it and have this particular build up to this point done. And here you guys saw again, I wanted to use those lights, and they're not falling into place. And that's something that I'm gonna improve, because I had it in my mind. I knew I wanted to use it, but if I was planning better with the stairs and the light beforehand, before I got to those points, then it would have been easier to adjust. So like I said, it's something that I am gonna try to improve on. When I know I'm gonna use those lights, try to plan it a little bit better and ahead of time before I do a lot of build. Work around those first, then adjust the build as I go forward, because those lights are awesome, but they don't fall into place every time you want, and it's a little sad for me sometimes. Okay, so here is when I was telling, oh yes, I can start here. We can do the motorbike rental. I can do like this design ideas, maybe a little bit elevation, how to put them and all that stuff. And then I was like, oh, and I can put the lights this way, and I think that'd be kind of cool. Then I noticed, no, let me push it in. And then I was kind of like getting in the zone, and I was like, put the brakes, because you're going a little far. Let's just take it in. Let's just finish this build. We're there. And one of the most exciting part is that we're getting close to let the water in. And once the water comes in, it really puts this build together, right? And back here on the road, imagine right now, like I think I fixed it right here. I went one more. We're gonna go, the sidewalk extends to 1 square, and then it's 4 wide, the road, and then another sidewalk, and then we're gonna expand. So it's gonna be really great. And then we have a nice view at the same time of the river connecting to the ocean. And I think I want to make a lookout point to look at the ocean, just something very nice to look at. So I have ideas. You know, we just keep rolling with the ideas, and I'm glad that we can make videos, that you guys are watching. You know, I'm excited for always your feedback. Your feedback is truly important to me. I want you guys to always know that. And if you guys are new and watching this video, feedback is always important to me. I appreciate it. It always helps me to improve and what you guys are thinking, so I can make videos that are also very interesting for you guys. So don't ever feel afraid. Comment what's on your heart. I want to know, so we can keep improving all of these builds together, you know. But I truly value your feedback. It's so important to me. All right, so we're getting closer. We're getting the moment of truth. Took the shovel. I'm looking. I'm trying to decide. And I'm gonna look at the water, and here we go. Here's the water. And guys, it just looks so good, right? Like, it just fills it out. We have the dog. The dog's a little higher, a little elevated, you know. I wanted to feel. Look at all that. It's just. Eventually, we're gonna clean this up. All that. I know I've cleaned it up just a little bit so we can see it, but all that is off camera. I'm gonna clean that. It's not worthy of a video for you guys, and take up your time on that. But all that will be cleaned up. But look at this. This was the end goal. This is the build, and this is what I was striving for. I was hoping it came out the way that I really envisioned. I think it's coming out really great. It has made this area stand out. It truly feels more like a coastal town every day to me, and I'm grateful for all of you guys. I'm grateful for all the pictures that I'm able to find, for all your comments, inspiration. There's still a couple of things from you guys' comments. I want to paint some of the boats chrome. I know chrome is very popular in Australia, especially on the boats. So there's a couple of changes that I want to do. Rentals idea, the base shop, and there's so many things that I truly want to create. And all of this is because you guys are here, you know, and always in your input is pushing, and yeah. But this build, I'm really happy the way it came out at the end. I'm hoping that you guys are enjoying it and love it, and there it is. There's Franklyn, and we made it to the end of the video. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit a like, subscribe if you want to see more videos, and we'll see you next time. All right, see you later. Bye.